Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting this evening. Tonight we have Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel on the line. Josh will be here tonight for the next hour or so to answer any questions you might have about the Ohio Treasurer's Office and about our state government. If you have a question for Josh tonight, please press 0. Press 0 on your keypad at any time, and we will get your question up to Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel as soon as possible. Please do stay on the line, and we'll be getting started in just a couple of minutes. You'll hear me repeat this message tonight just a couple of times as we get many thousands of your neighbors on the call tonight. So do please stand by. If you have a question tonight for Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel, please press 0. Press 0 on your keypad at any time, and we will get your question up to Josh as soon as possible. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Tonight, our special guest is Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel. Josh is here to answer your questions about state government and the operations of the Treasurer's Office. He'll share with you tonight many of the accomplishments that he and his staff have made during his time in office. So if you do have a question tonight for Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel, please press 0. Press 0 on your keypad at any time, and we will get your question up to Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel as soon as possible. Do stay on the line, and we will get to your call as soon as possible. You will hear me repeat this just a couple of more times as we're dialing many thousands of your neighbors in Ohio. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting this evening. Tonight, our special guest is Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel. If you have a question for Josh, please press 0. Press 0 on your keypad, and we will get your question up to Josh as soon as possible. Tonight, we're calling many thousands of your neighbors, so do please stand by. We'll be getting started in just a couple of minutes, but we do want to give everybody an opportunity to join the call. Thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight, our very special guest is Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel. You have an opportunity tonight to ask Josh any question you'd like, so do please press 0 on your keypad at any time, and we will get your question up to Josh as soon as possible. Press 0 on your keypad, and we'll get your question going. Again, one last time, welcome to our telephone town hall meeting this evening. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, our very special guest is Ohio Treasurer Josh Mandel. If you have a question for Josh, please press 0 on your keypad. Let's go ahead and get started. Josh, take it away.
Good evening. This is State Treasurer Josh Mandel. I hope you're having a good evening. This is a telephone town hall meeting. We're doing these because I believe the people of the state of Ohio have a right to know how your tax money is spent, and you also have a right to question your public officials and hold us accountable. And so if you want to ask me a question on this telephone town hall meeting or have your voice heard, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. If you press 0 on your telephone, you'll be put in a queue where you and your neighbors will be able to listen to the other calls and then ask me a question. For those of you just joining us, again, this is State Treasurer Josh Mandel, and if you would like to ask me a question on this telephone town hall meeting, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. And when you press 0 on your telephone, you'll be able to ask me a question. You can ask me questions about the State Treasurer's Office, the finances of the state, economic issues facing the state, and other issues that may be of general interest to the citizens of the state of Ohio. So again, this is State Treasurer Josh Mandel, for those of you just joining our telephone town hall meeting. And if you would like to ask me a question, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. For those of you doing this town hall meeting on the telephone for the first time, What happens is when you press 0 on your telephone, you'll be put in a queue, and once you're put into that queue, we're going to take as many questions as possible. So again, if you just press 0 on your telephone, you'll be able to ask me a question and have your voice heard on issues of interest to you and your neighbors, and we're going to try to take as many questions as possible tonight. For those of you just joining us, again, this is State Treasurer Josh Mandel, and again, if you would like to ask me a question, all you have to do is press 0 on this telephone town hall meeting. Before we get started, I'd just like to welcome the men and women throughout the state of Ohio who are joining us on this telephone town hall meeting because they're calling a lot of people throughout the communities in your area. It takes a while for folks to join into the telephone town hall meeting. So again, for those of you just joining us, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel, and if you'd like to ask me a question on this telephone town hall meeting, all you have to do is press 0. And for those of you just joining us, this is State Treasurer Josh Mandel. As the Treasurer of the state, I manage and protect and collect and invest tax money for the people of the state of Ohio, and my job when I wake up in the morning is to make sure that we keep your tax money, your hard-earned money, safe and secure. So if you'd like to ask me a question about anything in the Treasurer's office and any other economic and financial issues facing the state, please feel free to ask a question. And if you want to ask a question, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. Again, if you press 0 on your telephone, you'll be able to ask me a question. First question is from Annie. Annie, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. Take it away. Thanks for being on. And before you ask your question, Annie, for those people just joining us, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. And if you want to ask a question like Annie is about to do, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone, and you'll be put in a queue to ask me a question. Hi, Annie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well tonight. Thanks for being on our telephone town hall meeting. What's your question, Annie?
My question is, they was calling and talking about the finances for the state of Ohio, and I wanted to know if the bulk of the state of Ohio, if it's going to increase the qualities of the school system. I noticed that it's down low, and I don't like that. Not when children are going to school. So I noticed that it's down low. Now, if they have to go to a private school, that's different. But if they have to go to a public school, which they can afford to go to, then why is the system so out of whack?
Annie, I appreciate your question, and I appreciate you being on tonight. And for anyone who's just joining us, if you'd like to ask a question, like Annie just did about our schools here in the state, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. And if you press 0 on your telephone, you'll be able to ask me a question. For those of you just joining us, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. This is a telephone town hall meeting, and all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone to be able to ask a question. Annie, well, let me start off by letting you know that I'm a product of public schools. I went K-12 through public schools. My mother worked in the public schools for over 20 years, and my sister currently works in public schools as well. And so I agree with you that it's important to have strong schools in our state in order to have kids and grandkids graduating that can compete not just in a national marketplace, but really in a global marketplace. And unfortunately, what's happened with a lot of the schools throughout our state is that some of the decision makers have started making decisions based on what's good for adults instead of what's good for kids. And I think we have to get back to the basics and make decisions based on what's best for kids. In my mind, that means instilling more discipline into kids in the schools. I think that means ensuring that as much money as possible actually gets into the classroom. I think there's too much money spent on layers of administrators and people who are working in these administration buildings, and not enough that actually gets into the classroom. I also think we should have a system in Ohio that allows us to reward good teachers. So when you have a teacher who's really going above and beyond and doing a good job, there should be some type of system based on merit where you can reward good teachers. And obviously, if there are some teachers that aren't cutting the mustard, that aren't doing a good job for our kids and grandkids, there should be repercussions there as well. But most importantly, we need to be able to incentivize and motivate those good teachers out there who are coming into school early and leaving late and spending a lot of time and thinking outside the box and leveraging technology for our children. Something else when it comes to education that I think is important is local control and accountability. We don't want bureaucrats in Washington and Columbus making decisions for our kids in our schools. We really want those decisions made as close as possible to the home. So those decisions for schools need to be made by parents and by the teachers and by the local school boards. I also feel that it's important to have choice when it comes to schools. In addition to having strong public schools, it's important that there's a choice, that if a mom or a dad, for safety reasons or academic reasons or discipline reasons or other reasons, feels that their kid would be better off in a private school, a religious school, a charter school, homeschooling, what have you, they should have that choice as well. And I think it's important to have strong public schools at the same time we have strong choices as well in education. So, Annie, it's a great question. It's something I'm very passionate about. And as the treasurer of the state of Ohio, I actually invest a lot of the money for the schools. And so if we're doing a good job investing the money in Columbus, it means there's more money out there for education. And every day we try to do a good job investing those dollars for schools and also for senior citizens and families throughout the state. For those of you just joining us, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. This is a telephone town hall meeting. And the way this works is you press 0 on your telephone if you'd like to ask a question, and when you press 0 on your telephone, you'll be able to ask me a question. Next question is from Sarah. Sarah, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel.
Hi.
How are you this evening?
We want to know, does Ohio get any federal, state
Sarah,
assistance to help us to get jobs here?
Sarah, I'm sorry, I missed the first part of your question. Do you mind repeating it?
No. Does Ohio get any federal assistance so that we could have more money coming in for jobs in our state?
Well, Sarah, I appreciate you being on and appreciate you asking that question. For those of you just joining us who'd like to ask a question, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. And if you'd like to ask a question, this is a telephone town hall meeting, and all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone in order to ask a question. So let me talk a little bit about what the governor has done to change how the economic development works in the state. It used to be that there was a State Department of Economic Development that handled a lot of these types of activities out of the governor's office, and the governor and the legislature created a new organization called Jobs Ohio, which is outside of state government, that deals with a lot of economic development throughout the state of Ohio. A few years ago, the state's unemployment rate was around 9.1%. Today, it's around 6.1%. So the good news is it's dropping. The bad news is, in my mind, 6.1 is still too high, and there's way too many families out there struggling. There's too many people who are having trouble getting jobs, and we also have a serious issue with jobs sometimes going to other countries. And I think we need to be doing everything we can here in the state of Ohio to create a better environment for keeping jobs here and competing not just against Michigan and Indiana, but also competing against China and India and Russia and these other states as well. Here's one of the things that's important. I'm very passionate about this. I actually wrote an op-ed in a newspaper about this. I think we need to make sure that we have enough young people going into the skilled trades to make sure that as the baby boomers are retiring, these jobs as pipe fitters and welders and machinists and jobs in manufacturing aren't going overseas, that we have a next generation, our kids and grandkids, going into these fields. So I personally think we should put shop class back in high schools. I think we should invest more in vocational training. You've got all these young people throughout America that have 4-year liberal arts degrees. Many of them have $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in debt, and a lot of them are serving coffee at Starbucks or working retail at the mall when they would have been a lot better off, I think, with some type of 2-year career and technical education, skilled trade education, working in the skilled trades. And so that's one of the things as Treasurer of the State I've been very active with, is promoting the investment of vocational education and trying to encourage schools to put shop class back in high schools. So those are a lot of the issues that I've been dealing with as far as workforce development and skilled trades. And I think one of the other things that's important to recognize is if we're going to create a better environment for jobs here, the environment needs to be good for small businesses. I'm sick and tired of these big, large mega corporations with armies of lobbyists and attorneys having the upper hand because they could pay these lobbyists to get good laws passed for them. We need to focus on what's best, in my mind, for the working man and woman and what's best for small businesses. We need to make sure that the tax code and the regulatory code is good for smaller businesses because that's where we're seeing a lot of job growth and opportunity. So thank you for being on tonight. I appreciate you being on tonight. And for those of you just joining us who want to ask a question, this is State Treasurer Josh Mandel. We're going to try to take as many questions as possible tonight, and I appreciate everyone being on. If you'd like to ask a question, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. Again, press 0 on your telephone for this telephone town hall meeting. I believe that you have a right to have your voice heard, and I'm going to try to take as many questions and listen to as many people as possible tonight. Next is Eugene. Eugene, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. How are you?
Oh, good. This is Jerry, and
I
Jerry,
got this
I'm sorry
letter,
about that. And I'm sure it's a scam. We're pleased to inform you that you now qualify to permanently eliminate all future maintenance fees, and it includes 2015, and it's not limited to that year. And I mean, there's no way that they can do that for me. I live in a condo, and I just think that it's a scam. And it says if we do not hear from you soon, we cannot guarantee qualification. And it's from R.J. Wright, Property Owner Services, Washington, D.C.
I'd want to see the letter to be able to better determine if it is a scam. I tell you what, I also don't want to breach your privacy on the phone here. Here's what I think is probably the best thing to do. Let me give you the phone number for my treasurer's office. We have a constituent affairs department, and what I can do is if you call there tomorrow morning, you could probably read the letter to them or maybe fax it or mail it to them, and we can look into it. And we work oftentimes with the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General's office has a department that actually investigates phony claims and bad marketing tactics like this. And so we'll take a look at it in our Constituent Affairs Department. If it's something that looks like someone's lying to you or taking advantage of you, we can refer it over to them as well. Is that okay, Jerry?
Yes, I thought of contacting the Attorney General, so I'm glad that you were on tonight so I could speak with you. All right, so I'm ready for the number.
All right, I'm going to give you the 1-800 number so you can call it toll-free. And obviously anyone else listening now, anyone who's listening here should feel free to write down this number. If you have any constituent-related issues or questions, you can feel free to call the office tomorrow. The phone number in our treasurer's office is 1-800-228 1102. And I'll repeat that. 1102. Yeah, it's 1-800-228-1102. And just ask for the Constituent Affairs Department, and you could walk them through what the letter says. And if my office can figure it out, we will, and try to help you. And if not, we can refer it over to the Attorney General's office and get someone on it looking into it.
All right. Thank you so much.
It's no problem. I appreciate being on. And, Jerry, I hope you have a great evening.
All right. You also.
Thanks. All right, for those of you just joining us, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. And if you'd like to ask me a question like Jerry just did, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. Next, we're going to go to Eugene.
Hello.
Eugene, you're on live with... Hey, Eugene,
yes,
it's Josh Mandel. How are you?
Yeah. Yes, please. Fine, thank you. With great respect to you and to the state office, my question is, was for second hearing scheduled January the 7th, whatever was, or 9, when was the hearing in Columbus, but was almost blizzard condition at that day. And nobody ever followed up on that appeal of the property tax reduction or adjustment. I do not know how such a things they schedule on a worstest month of the year, or why they not schedule in a county where we living in order to easy to reach the for the situation.
So just so I understand, Eugene, you got a notice that your property taxes were going to go up, and you were supposed to have a hearing in January, but it was right. Snowing, and you weren't able to make it to Columbus, or
right? Right.
Okay. And so, this is probably from like the tax appeals board or something along those lines.
That nature, indeed. And in the meantime, as the weather was. I'm pretty sure even that the meeting was canceled, but nobody came with any follow-up. Nobody ever in touch, or nobody ever rescheduled such a meeting or such a reduction or rescheduled. And
okay.
I'm think about how come they do such things, and when is the worst month, worst weather predicting, and to go all the way to Columbus for that month.
Let me ask you this: what county are you in, Eugene? Where do you live? In what county?
I'm living in Montgomery County, but I'm paid Montgomery County, Texas, and I'm paid in Champaign County, Texas, also.
Okay. Have you talked with the county auditor in either of those counties?
I'm talking with the Champaign County auditor, but he says we can't do nothing about.
So you have to. They're saying you have to appeal to Columbus now.
Right, and
okay.
Montgomery County office, they are out of touch with the people. Let's call them that way.
Got it. So here's what I want to do. I think what the best course of action is. I'm going to have my constituent affairs department work with you and assist you and try to facilitate a conversation with whether it's the Board of Tax Appeals or whatever the appropriate board is you're trying to work with, and they could probably find out the status and what happened after the bad weather in January. Do you have a pen where I can give you the number, because they'll be in there tomorrow morning, and we can try to facilitate that.
They will call me, or should I call them?
Well, the only way they can call you is if you give your number right now, and for your privacy, I don't want to, broadcast your number, because we got a lot of people on the phone call here, I'm sure.
I kind of go along with that idea.
Yeah, let me give you our phone number and just give us a call tomorrow morning. You got a pen there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
It's 1-800.
1-800.
228.
Yes. 28.
It's 1-800-228.
228.
Yep.
Okay.
And then 1102.
1102. 1102. And this is state auditor or the secretary office?
This is the state treasurer's office. That's my office. My name. I'm Josh Mandel, the state treasurer, and if you call our office, we have a constituent affairs department, and then our constituent affairs department can assist you and try to track down the information for you. Okay?
I would greatly appreciate, sir.
Eugene, give us a call tomorrow. I hope you have a great evening. For those of you just joining us, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. And if you'd like to ask a question like Eugene just did, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. If you press 0 on your telephone, you'll be put in a queue to ask a question, and we're going to take as many questions as we can tonight. Next, we're going to go to Dottie. Dottie, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Mandel. I would like to know, everybody's always talking about creating jobs, and I would like to know, have you ever considered, instead of letting our state and county and city workers retire and take their jobs back, hiring some of the people that's just getting out of college?
Well, it's an interesting question you asked, Dottie. You're talking about the double dipping, right?
Right.
I tell you what, Dottie, this double dipping, it's not right. It's just not right for taxpayers. I'm strongly against this double dipping. I don't think the government workers in Columbus or in other parts of the state should be able to double dip like that. It's not fair to taxpayers, and it's not right. I mean, I'll tell you where you see a lot of it. You see some of these like school superintendents. Some of these folks, they cut a deal with the school board where they quote unquote retire on Friday, and then on Monday they get rehired right into the same job, getting paid a salary plus their retirement benefits. I mean, listen to this one, Dottie. You got me going, because this is an issue that I think is just terrible for taxpayers, and I really want to get rid of this double dipping. In Cleveland, there was a guy who was an elected city councilman. Okay, this guy was elected to the city council. He makes a backroom deal with his buddies on city council that he's going to quote unquote retire, and then so he can get his retirement, and then they reappointed him to the city council. I mean, think about that.
Yep, it happens here too.
It's just not right, and so it happens all over the state. What county do you live in?
In Greene. I live in Xenia, and I know people personally that have retired and never missed a day's work. It's sad to think. I mean, and we're talking about a time when there's people that's not working. These people are getting out of college, and I have a grandson that'll be out of college here shortly, and there's no hope of him ever getting a job here because they don't ever really retire. It's just I could tell you of one person that has 2 retirements from here in the city.
Dottie, you're breaking up a little there. You there?
Yes.
Okay, good. Listen, Dottie, I appreciate being on. You and I are on the same page. This double dipping is just not right, and it's as you said, it's unfair. It's just unfair to taxpayers. And so, as treasurer of the state, I deal with the pension funds on different issues, and as treasurer of the state, I can promise you that I'm going to continue to advocate for the elimination of double dipping, because this double dipping is just not right for the taxpayers. So, listen, I appreciate being on tonight and appreciate your question. And if there's any other buddy who tonight wants to ask a question, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone, and if you press 0, you'll be put in a queue, and we're going to take as many questions as possible. For those of you just joining us, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. Next question is from Martha. Hey, Martha, how are you?
Yeah. Okay.
How you doing?
You?
Good.
Okay. Yeah, they're always talking about kids bullying kids. What about teachers bullying kids?
Well, is that a big issue in your community? Martha?
You broke up. I couldn't hear you.
Is that a big issue? Is that a big issue in your community? With I've read a lot about and heard a lot about kids bullying kids, but are you having an issue with teachers as well?
Well, my grandson, he had an issue about a year or so ago with the teacher bullying him about getting his hair cut, and he had a short haircut to begin with, and then now he's growing a beard, and they're just picking on him about his beard. He just went ahead and cut it because he was getting ready to go to Washington, D.C., but to me, I think that if he wanted to have a nice beard, he should be able to grow it.
Listen, I agree with you that if there's a kid, what's he in high school, or how old is he?
He's a junior high, 8th grade.
All right. Well, listen, if he wants to grow a beard, I don't think there's a problem with that. If he wants to cut his hair short, I don't think there's a problem with that. I mean, where I think there's a problem sometimes is, if kids are walking around the school with their pants hanging off their rear end down to their knees, that's a problem. But if it's, if he just wants to have a beard or get his hair cut short, like I don't see any issue with that. So,
he had a short haircut anyways, and the teacher says to him, he said, you need to get a haircut. And the thing, if it's long, yes, I could see it, but it wasn't long. It was probably right above his ear or something like that. And to me, that is bullying just as well as any of the kids.
Did you guys talk to, the local, the school board or the principal or superintendent?
No.
Huh. I'd suggest you doing that. I mean, as state treasurer, I interact with the school districts because we invest the tax money for the schools, but I'm not really involved with, dress codes and hair codes and that kind of stuff at the schools. I mean, those are decisions that I think, frankly, you don't want Columbus government officials dealing with. You want those decisions made, there at the local level, with the parents and the teachers and the school boards there in the schools. So my suggestion to you would be go in there and talk with the school board and the principal and the superintendent. And to me, in my mind, it sounds reasonable what your grandson wants to do if he just wants to have a beard or short hair. I personally don't think there's an issue with that. So again, my suggestion would be just talk to your local school officials on that. I appreciate you asking your question, and anyone else who wants to ask a question tonight, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone, and if you press 0 on your telephone, you'll be able to ask me a question. This is State Treasurer Josh Mandel for those of you just joining us. Again, press 0 on your telephone if you'd like to ask me a question. Next question is from Edna. Edna, how are you tonight?
Yes. I'm fine.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing pretty well. We have a 1-year-old at home. Her name's Rosie, and she's doing well. And things in the state treasurer's office are going well. The bond rating is up for the first time in a decade for the Ohio Enterprise Bond Fund, and that means we're getting a good financial report card for the money management in the office. And the state's gone from an $8 billion budget hole to a $1 billion surplus. And when I first came in, we were ranked 43rd in the country as far as the overall fiscal position of the fiscal condition of the state. And a new ranking recently came out and now has us ranked 7th in the country. So we're moving in the right direction, Edna. So I can't complain. We got a good team in the treasurer's office.
Do you think so when the gas prices keep going up and can't drive my car to the grocery store? Americans
I tell you what,
stealing from Americans.
I agree. That's a big issue, the high gas prices. And it's funny, today I was actually just talking about this. I was in the eastern portion of Ohio today in the oil and gas areas where they're drilling for oil and gas. And as state treasurer, I've been very active dealing with energy policy. I've spoken at the Ohio Oil and Gas Association, and I've come out very strong on some issues in respect to oil and gas policy because I think it's time for us to be reliant on ourselves for energy. We should be producing the oil and the gas here in Ohio and here in America, and we need to stop relying on radical Islamic regimes in the Middle East. I'm sick and tired of Americans, when they go to the gas pumps, being forced to rely on radical Islamic regimes in the Middle East when we have an abundance of natural resources here. And it's one of the reasons why, as state legislator, now as state treasurer, I'm a strong proponent of domestic energy. I think it's important that we see these natural resources as assets, and we maximize them to bring down the cost, as you said, of filling up at the pump at the corner, and also of heating our homes in an affordable way. And this is something I feel very strongly about. And I'll tell you what, Edna, my grandmother, she's 85 years old. And, a lot of people who are that age.
I'm 88.
All right, God bless you. I mean, a lot of people who are senior citizens, they're living on fixed incomes. And if you're living on a fixed income,
right,
there's not a lot of wiggle room. And if the gas prices go up, like you said, sometimes you can't leave your house. And so, listen, as long as we can drill for oil and gas in America in a responsible way that protects the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the environment for our kids and grandkids, we should be doing that. It needs to be done in an environmentally safe way. And as long as it can be done that way, we should be focusing on American energy and stop relying on these radical Islamic regimes in the Middle East. So that's my 2 cents. What do you think?
I agree with you. You're right. I hope you can do something
about it.
Well,
I appreciate you being on tonight, Edna, and hope you have a great evening. And for those of you just joining us, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. If you want to ask a question, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. If you press 0 on your telephone, you can be put in a queue to ask me a question. And the next question we're going to go to is from Bob. Hey, Bob, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Thanks.
I had a question. I'm 80 years old. I'm retired. I live in Montgomery County. I pay about $500 a month on property taxes, and I don't know why I even have to pay property taxes at 80 years old and retired. It doesn't make sense to me. I've never been able to understand understand it. I've written to the governor once about this situation, and I didn't get a response or anything. But now that you're here, I'm asking you the question.
Well, this is an issue I'm very passionate about, Bob. Let me take it back. Around 10 years ago or so, I was a city councilman in a town called Lyndhurst, Ohio, and I advocated and introduced legislation and really charged forward with this legislation to lower the property taxes in our community. And these other city councilmen said, "Josh, you can't lower the taxes. We're going to embarrass you." And not all the councilmen were that negative, but a lot of them were really in my face saying, "We're going to embarrass you, Josh." And one of them said, "We're going to vote this down 1-6. Don't even try to pass this." And I'll tell you what I did. I called up a bunch of citizens throughout the community, senior citizens and others, and I said, "Listen, I want to lower the taxes for the people. I want to lower the property taxes. Would you mind showing up at a city council meeting and having your voice heard?" And at this little Lyndhurst city council meeting where the same 8 people show up every other week, we had hundreds of people show up, and there was so much it was into the hallway. It was overflowing. And I'll tell you what, we ended up passing that property tax reduction 6-1. Instead of it going down 1-6, it actually passed 6-1. It was the first municipal property tax rollback in the history of my county, and one of the only ones statewide. And I tell you that story to tell you that moving forward from that, after hearing from so many senior citizens, I've continued to be a strong advocate on property tax issues, especially for seniors. When I was in the state legislature, I was very involved with issues relating to the homestead exemption, and I think because senior citizens so often are on fixed incomes, it's important that we try to lower those property taxes as low as possible. And if it's possible to eliminate the property taxes for senior citizens, I'm for that. And I think it's a good question, and it's something as the treasurer of the state I'm very strongly passionate about. And I deal with a lot of tax policy as state treasurer, and property tax policy is something I'm very passionate about. So, Bob, I agree with you 100%.
Well, okay. Thank you for taking my call.
Hey, I hope you have a great evening. Thanks for being on. For those of you just joining us, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. This is a telephone town hall meeting, and if you'd like to ask a question, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. And what happens is with these telephone town hall meetings, when you press 0, you'll be able to be put in a queue, so you can listen to the other questions, and then you can ask me a question. Hopefully, we're going to take as many as possible. Next question we're going to go to is from Nancy. Nancy, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. How are you this evening?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you.
Yeah, I had a question about the revenue sharing with the municipal governments.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, the part of the way the state dealt with the financial issues was to really cut severely the municipal revenue sharing, which really puts us extreme hardship. Where I live in Springfield, Ohio, that's extremely hard for our city government. And my understanding was that when the state income tax was enacted back several years ago, the municipal governments went along with it with the agreement there would be revenue sharing. And so my understanding is that the state budget was cut much less than the municipal budgets were cut. And so, it just seems like it's kind of like not remembering the history, and maybe because the current leaders weren't the governors then, they don't think it's important to respect that, but it just doesn't seem to me that it's fair to the municipal governments and to the people in the cities where most of the people, live. And I just wondered, now you said that the state government is doing so well financially, are they going to restore some of those cuts to the municipal governments? Because I know it's a real hardship here in Springfield for the municipal government.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time, Nancy, in Clark County, in Springfield area where you live, and I've heard that same thing from a lot of people there. And for those of you listening, what Nancy is referencing is something called the Local Government Fund, and this is a fund within the state government that has been used to fund the local municipalities throughout the state of Ohio. And so, Nancy, let me talk to you a little bit about I guess where I think we should have priorities in the state as far as funding. And let me talk to you a little bit about how in the state treasurer's office I make an impact on how money, how the investments are dealt with in respect to local governments. First of all, when it comes to priorities, I think one priority needs to be senior citizen services and ensuring that our senior citizens are protected. A lot of our state and the economy in the state, and really the backbone of the state was built on the backs of senior citizens. And so many senior citizens throughout our state really sacrificed as they were coming up in the ranks and growing old, and a lot of them worked 2 and 3 jobs and raised large families. And now that so many of these senior citizens are living on fixed incomes, I think it's important that we prioritize services for senior citizens in our state and make sure that we remember that the state, in large part, and country was built on the backs of folks who are senior citizens today. That World War II generation and also the Korea, Vietnam era as well, becoming senior citizens and growing older. It's important that we have strong services for those seniors. A second priority for the state needs to be safety services. Listen, we need our communities to be safe, and it's important that communities have the resources to fund cops and firefighters and paramedics. So if you call 911 at your apartment building, your house, you want that response to be quick. You don't want them coming 45 minutes later. You want them coming, a few minutes later, and that's something that's very important. I think needs to be a priority for policymakers. A third thing, when it comes to priorities, for the state is education. And I think if we're going to stay strong as a state in the country, we have to recognize the fact that our kids and grandkids, they're not just competing against kids from Indiana and Michigan, as I mentioned earlier. They're competing against kids from India and China and Russia and Saudi Arabia, and it's a global marketplace. And so we have to make sure that we also prioritize a strong educational system for our kids and grandkids. And so all those things, cops and firefighters and funding for schools and funding for senior citizen services, a lot of that money I invest here in the state of Ohio. We run an investment fund. It's a local government investment fund, a multi-billion-dollar investment fund where there's schools and cities and villages throughout Clark County where you live and throughout the state of Ohio that send their money to me in the treasurer's office, and we have a team there that manages this money with 3 main principles. The principles are safety, liquidity, and yield. And the first principle is the most important one. It's safety, protecting that tax money, and then after that, ensuring that there's liquidity, and then trying to make a yield so that if we're doing a good job investing it, when we send it back to where you live in Springfield or where other people live on the phone tonight, that there's more money there to pay for senior citizen services and for schools and for the local government. So those are a lot of the ways where my office interacts with a lot of local governments, and I think it's important that we, as I said, prioritize senior citizens, prioritize educating our kids, and prioritize the cops and the firefighters and the folks who keep our streets safe and who respond to 911 calls and keep our communities strong. Listen, I appreciate being on and asking your question tonight. If anyone else wants to ask a question, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone, and when you press 0 on your telephone, you'll be put in a queue, and we're going to take as many questions as possible tonight. Lucille, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. How are you? Lucille, you there?
Did he say Lucille?
Lucille,
Did you
you're on
say
live.
Lucille?
How you doing? Lucille,
yes.
Yeah, this is Josh Mandel, your State Treasurer. How are you?
I'm great, and I appreciate the fact that you're balancing the budget in Ohio.
Hey, listen, the way I see my job as a treasurer of the state is we have to use kitchen table financial principles. Like if you're going to have to manage and balance the budget around your kitchen table, then I think the state government should do the same thing. So those are the kind of principles we use to bring fiscal responsibility to the state.
Well, I think Ohio is an outstanding state, but President Obama, I heard, wants to make I-675 and I-75 toll roads. His excuse is that since people have fuel-efficient cars now, they're not collecting enough money from the gasoline tax. Mm-hmm. Well, the people in Greene County just passed all the levies that were on the ballot, and one of them was money to repair roads. Mm-hmm. So I hope that they're not considering making toll roads, because that's just an added tax for people who have to go to work and use those roads every day. besides it's
Lucille, I'd have to learn a little bit more about this, specific proposal you're referencing. But in general, I agree with you that what it sounds like is a tax. And in my time in public service, I've never supported a tax increase, and on many occasions, I've advocated for reducing and removing taxes. And so this is the kind of thing it sounds like I'd be against. And I'm going to go on tonight. I'm going to go on the internet tonight and read about this and learn more. And maybe it's something I'll publicly come out against.
Because the military go to Wright-Patterson. Everybody uses I-675 to get to the base, and so I just don't want the nuisance, and I don't want the cost, because we are supporting money for our roads, and the fact that people are trying to have more efficient cars, they shouldn't be penalized for it. So anyway, thank you for whatever you do. I appreciate it.
It's no problem. I appreciate being on tonight, and I'm going to learn more about this proposed tax on the roads, and it sounds like the kind of thing that I'd probably be against. I just need to learn a little bit more about it. All right, if anyone else wants to ask a question, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. All you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. Next question is from Janelle. Janelle, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. How are you? Janelle?
Hi.
Hi, how are you, Janelle?
I
am. It's Josh Mandel. How you doing?
Good. My question is, where do you stand on something to support the schools and all the pay-to-play fees so that the schools can reduce things like that? Because the levies are continuing to rise on homeowners and the cost of owning a home, and pretty soon the kids won't have to worry about playing sports because they won't have a home to come home to after they get finished practicing, because no one will be able to afford it.
Well, Janelle, I appreciate being on tonight, and appreciate you asking that question. And this is a big issue, throughout the state. As more and more, kids who want to participate in, sports or theater or other extracurricular activities, their families are being, forced to pay more for their kids to participate. I think a lot of this goes down to eliminating waste in the schools, and where there's waste is at the administrative level. There's not enough money that gets in the classroom. There's not enough money that's focused on the kids, and I think the problem is there's too much money spent on these schools that have all these different assistant administrators and assistant principals and assistant that and assistant all these. They're top heavy. There's all this money in education spent on administrators, not enough that's actually spent on the kids. And when you look at schools throughout our state, one of the problems is a lot of the decision makers are more focused on what's good for the adults instead of what's good for the kids. And so I think we need some new leaders in a lot of the school systems around the state, and I think we need to eliminate a lot of these administrative positions and make sure that the money is actually getting into the classroom. And I think if you eliminate a lot of the administrative positions, there'd be more money there in order to pay if kids want to play sports or be in the band or stuff like that. As the treasurer of the state, I actually invest a lot of money for the schools around the state. So school districts in your area and throughout the state will send me money. We'll make sure it's held in safety and security, and then we'll invest it. And if we do a good job, we send back a little more than was sent to us, and that's one of the ways where we can help alleviate the cost on the taxpayers and the families. That if we're doing a good job investing it, maybe the school has a little bit more money, and the kids don't have to pay to play sports and other extracurricular activities. So, listen, I appreciate being on, Janelle. I appreciate you asking that question, and I hope that for the folks listening there tonight, if you want to ask another question, if you'd like to ask a question, you press 0 on your telephone and ask a question. We've had some really interesting questions tonight, and a lot of these questions about education and local government funding and taxes, these are right in my wheelhouse. As treasurer of the state, I think about a lot of these issues, and I interface with a lot of these issues, and I appreciate people asking thoughtful questions. All right, next we're going to go to Patricia. Patricia, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel, and if anyone else wants to ask a question like Patricia's about to do, all you have to do is press 0 on your telephone. How you doing, Patricia?
Oh, I'm doing nervous. I'm doing fine.
Nervous.
How about you?
I'm good. Don't be nervous. I'm doing really well.
I would like to know why, or I can't understand why, all these immigrants are coming over here, I live east of Dayton, Ohio, and at all the dollar stores, most of the gas stations are run, all down in our area, is run by immigrants. Now, they say they're tax-free, with no tax paid on them. Is that so? Hello?
Sorry, what is the question again?
Well, the immigrants, the foreigners, immigrants, are running all our gas stations. I'm sorry?
I heard the first part. I just didn't understand the question you were asking. If you can just repeat the question part.
Yes. I can't understand why they're running all our gas stations and our dollar stores. It seems like everywhere you stop, they're running them or working there. And I can't understand that when that's leaving us out of jobs, or many people out of jobs.
Well, Patricia, thank you for being on the call tonight, and thank you for participating. Let me just talk to you about my feelings in respect to immigration a little. I am a strong supporter of legal immigration. A lot of the people on this phone call tonight, I'm sure some of you, and if not you, maybe your ancestors, they immigrated to America from somewhere, whether it was Europe or Asia or somewhere else. And my guess is they came here legally. And, America is a country of immigrants, but the thing is that our ancestors came here legally. My grandmother and grandfather immigrated here in the 1940s from Italy, and they came here legally. And I'm sure, a lot of your families came here legally as well. And so the bad thing is when you have people breaking the law to get here, illegal immigration. And so that's what we have to stop. And so I think, legal immigration is a good thing, but illegal immigration is something that we have to watch out for because we have laws on the books for a reason, and it's important that we protect the border, and it's important that we focus on the right way, the right path to come to the United States. Because, listen, the United States, in my mind, is the greatest country in the world. We are an exceptional nation. We are a light into the world, and we should be that example and that beacon of hope for people throughout the world. But if you want to come here, in my mind, you got to come here legally. You can't be coming here breaking the laws and coming here in an illegal way. And so that's how I feel. I feel that most of the Ohioans I come across throughout the state have that same feeling, that they're open to immigration as long as it's done in a legal way, because so many of our families came over here, but they came over in a legal way. So, listen, I appreciate you being on here tonight, and appreciate you asking the question. And just to reiterate, immigration in a legal way is a good thing, but folks who are coming here and breaking the law, that's not a good thing. All right, thanks for being on here. Thanks for being on tonight. And next, we're going to go to a question from Sharon. Sharon, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. Sharon, you there?
Yes, this is Sharon.
Hey, Sharon. Yes. Josh Mandel, how are you?
I'm blessed in you. This is Sharon from Dayton, Ohio. I have a two-part question. First, I wanted to know, you were speaking on the taxes. I wanted to know how much the tax is in gas in Ohio. On the gas, when we go to the pump, we pay a certain amount for gas tax. And also, I want to know what's your stay on getting rid of the early voting. I'm a transit worker, and if you know anything about, like, the transit system, you work many hours, and on that particular day, you may not get off in time to vote. So I just want to know your stand on it.
Well, thanks for being on tonight, Sharon. I appreciate you asking your questions. Starting off first, as far as the gas tax, or the gas price, I should say, the average gas price in the state of Ohio is $3.32. The average in the United States is $3.67, and so the average in Ohio is a little less than the national average, but in my mind, it's still too high, Sharon. It's still too high. And I talked a little bit earlier on the call about this. One of the things we need to be doing to bring down the gas prices in America is to produce more energy here in America. I'm sick and tired of us going to the pumps and, in a direct or indirect way, supporting energy production in countries that are ruled by radical Islamic regimes in the Middle East. It's just not right. It is not right. You look at some of these countries, I'll give you an example. Iran, during the Iraq War, Iran was funding roadside bombs that were killing American troops in Iraq. Think about that for a second. And it's in my mind wrong to have American taxpayers, Ohioans, and others supporting anything like that. And I feel very strongly about it. I'm actually a Marine vet myself, did a couple tours in Iraq, and it's something I feel very strongly about. So if you're a senior citizen on fixed income or you're a working family, whatever it is, as state treasurer, I want you to know that I'm going to be doing everything I can to advocate for energy production here in Ohio, here in America, so that we can bring the cost down for you when you go to the pump and also when you get your energy bills at home. I just gave a speech about this earlier today in the eastern portion of Ohio where they're actually drilling for oil and gas. And what I said was, I am all for energy production here in Ohio and here in America, as long as we could do it in a responsible, environmentally responsible way that protects the air we breathe and the water we drink and the environment for our kids and grandkids. As far as your second question about voting, I think we need to make voting here in the state of Ohio accessible and easy for citizens. Earlier this week, they had the election, statewide, and I'm not going to get into partisan politics or campaign-oriented things on this phone call, but one thing that is public and it's in the public domain is the percentages of people that actually came to the polls, and it's very low, and it's something that's worrisome and bothersome. And one of the reasons is I think you have a lot of people who are cynical about government. And so something I've done as treasurer of the state is worked on transparency in government. I took my salary and the salary of my office employees and the salary of all the state employees. I put that information on my website at ohiotreasurer.gov, and now I'm working on a piece of legislation, House Bill 175, that's going to compel my office to put the state's checkbook online. I believe you as citizens have a right to know how the state is spending taxpayer money, spending your money, and so we're working to put the state's checkbook out there so you can actually see it and you can hold the politicians and the bureaucrats accountable. And I think if we have more transparency in government, in Columbus and state capitals around the country, and definitely in Washington, people will have more confidence in their government, and hopefully more people will take part in the voting process and the democratic process. Whether regardless of who they vote for and what issues they support, we're not going to get into that stuff on this call because this is a nonpartisan call. But my hope is just that the percentages go up because we want as many people as possible participating in democracy. I appreciate you being on, and appreciate you asking your question. Next, we're going to go to a question from Kim. Kim, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, thanks.
Well, I just wanted to give you a positive comment. I'm an independent or a private business owner, and I was absolutely thrilled this year that the state of Ohio supported small businesses, small corporations, with a tax break for us. And I cannot tell you how much that helped my business this year, and that allowed me to invest back into it. And as a result, not entirely because of that, but I actually have gone from one part-time employee to 4 part-time employees over a short period of time. And what I'm finding is if you give people great service and you have the support system in the state financially to allow you to grow, it's really easy to do that. And I wanted to say thank you because I hope you can do more things like that for small businesses.
Well, I'm appreciative of your feedback. One of the things I've been very involved with as state treasurer is advocating for a tax environment here in the state that's more friendly for smaller businesses. I'm sick and tired of the tax environment being real good for these big mega corporations who can hire armies of lobbyists and everything, and they do everything they can for the larger companies, and sometimes it's at the risk of the smaller companies. One of the companies I've used as an example is GE. Thank God GE is bringing these jobs to Ohio. I'm glad they're doing that. At the same time, there's something that really bothers me. When a company like GE can file a 50,000-page federal tax return and pay zero taxes, that's the mark of an unfair system, because you as a small business owner, you can't pay no taxes. It's just not right. And so I hear what you're saying. I appreciate the positive feedback, and I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing as state treasurer, advocating for municipal income tax reform and other important reforms in the tax code that are good for small businesses. And I'm glad that it's helping create an environment where you can actually create more jobs.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Have a good evening. All right, next we're going to go to Sharon. Sharon, you're on live with State Treasurer Josh Mandel. How you doing, Sharon?
Hi, Mr. Mandel. You answered some of my question from Bob, the question about the taxes for seniors.
Mm-hmm.
I think that with everything going up, and those of us seniors who are on fixed incomes, especially my husband's close to almost 80, I'm almost 70. This last year, because of the increase between the school, the levies, in Beaver Creek, just in general, the property taxes, we are homesteaded, which we appreciate very much. It's just that we have more going out, and because of the rising costs, we're not keeping up because we're on fixed income. One of the ways I think to fix that might be, and I realize that we have to contribute something to fix roads and everything, but maybe those of us who have homes that are paid for, who have been in Beaver Creek, we've been here 42 years. Maybe those people could be grandfathered into no more raises in the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be an alternative? I understand that. If people who've been in their homes this long could be grandfathered so that there would never be any more increases as long as they owned the home.
Mm-hmm.
They would continue paying taxes, but under the homestead, but it wouldn't rise every year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a possible alternative or a solution?
It's an interesting question, and I think it's a really intriguing idea. I'm going to bring that up with some of the legislators in Columbus. As state treasurer, I've been very involved with tax policy in the state, and including property tax policy, and that goes back to when, even before I was treasurer. That's a really interesting idea, because I think that would give a lot of tax relief to senior citizens. Sharon, you sparked something that's very interesting. I'm going to bring that up with some of the legislators in Columbus, and this is, I don't know if you were on the call earlier, but I mentioned when I was a city councilman in Lyndhurst a while ago, I advocated for the first property tax rollback, municipal property tax rollback in the history of our county. And I've tried to help other people with similar property tax rollbacks and reductions around the state. And it comes from the same place you're talking about. It's really focused on senior citizens. And listen, I do it because it's good for all citizens, but I think the people who struggle the most with high property taxes are the senior citizens, because so many are working on fixed incomes. And so, listen, I appreciate your question. It's a great question. It's an intriguing idea. I promise you I'm going to bring that up with legislators in Columbus, and I'll bring it up with folks in other offices as well, and I appreciate being on. Listen, I appreciate everyone being on tonight on our telephone town hall meeting. There's a lot of people, I'm sure, who wanted to ask a question and didn't have an opportunity do not hang up. When I stop talking here, you're going to have an opportunity to leave me a voicemail. And if you have a specific question, we'll make sure that either my Constituent Affairs Department or me personally calls you back. Again, this is State Treasurer Josh Mandel. This has been a telephone town hall meeting. And one of the reasons we're doing these is because I think you as citizens have a right to question your public officials and hold them accountable and have your voice heard. And we're trying to give you that opportunity. So, again, I appreciate everyone being on tonight. And I hope you have a great evening. If you'd like to ask a question and didn't have an opportunity, stay on the line and you can leave me a voicemail. Thanks so much.